Hey everybody, let us, sorry about that. All right, everybody, I think you can hear me. We're doing this. All right, so for this extra video, there's a very useful writing tip that I want to tell you about. And this is a very, very important and quite relatively easy tip to employ in your writing. And it just elevates your writing. Trust me. And it doesn't take much to do, like I said, to use this tip in your writing. So, first off, let me just open up the handout that the PPT is going to cover. It's this handout right here. Hold on a second. Oh, my screen. Gosh, I'm not even like honestly, when I was researching to try to create this handout, I never even knew the name of this type of adjective clause, but it's called sentential. Never heard that word in my life. However, that's the name of a certain type of adjective clause or relative clause. So the names are interchangeable. Um, Hold on a second. By the way, this video is going to be approximately 20 minutes. Okay, and okay, so this video is going to cover something called sentential relative clauses. They're a type of adjective clause. Super useful, and in fact, it's one of the more common comments I leave in student writing. So, for example, some of you might notice that I leave a comment, and there's a plus sign, and it says ADJCLS, kind of like I'll show it to you here. It looks, sometimes I'll leave a comment and it's like this, a plus sign. It's like plus sign. So plus means to combine sentences. ADJCLS means using an adjective clause. So if you see that in your writing, use what we talk about in this video right here, because this is exactly what I'm referring to. So sentential relative clauses. Let's dive in and see what they're about and see how you can utilize them in your own writing, because trust me, you'll be able to. It's such a common style and part of writing that makes writing sound much smoother. Okay, so I only have like 4 or 5 slides here, and they're going to cover that handout. Then in the handout, there are 2 activities. We're going to get to the first one in this handout. I'm sorry, first one in this video. Then in the second video, I'm going to go over the second activity. Basically, they're 2 similar activities. All right, so sentential relative clauses. Basically, it's an adjective clause. Adjective clauses. Well, actually, I take that back. These are not necessarily, I guess, technically adjective clauses. I guess they're just relative clauses. But they're like adjective clauses, which use relative pronouns such as which, that, who, when, where, to add more information, whether it's additional or necessary. Now, if you can remember, we talked about appositives. It's been a while, but appositives are used to add information about a noun. Like we talked about, some appositives are necessary to specify or identify the noun. Some are unnecessary. They're additional. They're just adding additional information about the noun, but they're not specifying or identifying the noun. Now, keep in mind, there's a pattern throughout writing. It's not just for appositives. But like we talked about, when you have an appositive that's necessary because it identifies the noun, no comma. When you have an appositive that's giving additional information, it is not identifying the noun, you add the comma. That's just like, that's a pattern that's used for clauses. So we will find out that with sentential relative clauses, always use a comma. All right, so let's focus on what these are. What are sentential relative clauses? These clauses are a type of relative clause. They don't just modify a noun. The appositives we talked about, they identified those nouns or modified nouns. Sentential relative clauses, they modify complete sentences. They modify the independent clause, which is basically a sentence. They modify the independent clause that comes before it. So before, appositives just modified nouns. Sentential relative clauses, they modify entire sentences. They provide commentary, they provide additional information, not necessary, additional information. Therefore, they're always going to use a comma. These clauses, they provide additional information about the entire situation described in the main clause, in the preceding clause, in the sentence before it, or that it's connected to. They're particularly useful in formal writing and speaking. Again, this is an easy, relatively easy way to really make your writing sound better because they enhance sentence fluency and cohesion. You will see when we look at the examples how it enhances the fluency and cohesion. All right, and cohesion just means how everything's connected together. Very smooth. All right, how do you identify and use them? All right, well, sentential relative clauses are usually most like large percentage of the time the relative pronoun that they begin with that connects them to the preceding clause or independent clause is which. So you almost always use which. And just like I mentioned in the previous slide, sentential relative clauses refer back to the entire preceding clause. Oops, sorry, not just a part of the clause, it's referring to that entire idea. So when you write a sentence, you're expressing a whole idea. Sentential relative clauses modify or add additional information about that whole idea, not just a noun in it, the entire clause itself. Oops. Again, because you're adding additional information, always, because an independent clause or complete sentence is already complete and it's already clear. It doesn't need to be identified. You're always going to use a comma because they're non-restrictive and they're providing non-essential information. So just remember, always a comma, always a comma. And which, never that, comma, which, not comma, that. Now, the reason why or how sentential relative clauses improve academic or formal writing is because they replace sentences that begin with it or that. Oftentimes, there will be a sentence, and the next sentence will begin with it or that. And it or that refer to the entire preceding sentence. With sentential relative clauses, you can remove that it or that, and instead of having two separate sentences, you have one longer sentence. It just sounds better. So that's what we're going to focus on now, I believe. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple examples. Okay, so, and this is in the handout. Okay, here's an example. As you can see, there's no sentential relative clause in this part because these are two sentences. The company decided to expand its operations overseas. This was a bold move. Now, what does this refer to? This does not refer to any nouns. It does not refer to company. It does not refer to operations. This refers to the entire sentence, the entire idea of the company deciding to expand its operations overseas. So we don't need to say this was. Now, grammatically, this is fine. We have two sentences, and we have this relative pronoun, just this. Oh, I'm sorry, just this pronoun called this. We don't need this. Let's see how we can use sentential clauses to improve or elevate the style of writing. So easy for this example. The company decided to expand its operations overseas, comma, always a comma, which was a bold move. So now we don't need to say this, and we don't need to have two separate sentences, which was a bold move right here. It provides a comment. It adds additional information about the entire preceding clause, the entire idea of the company deciding to expand overseas. Let's take a look at another example. It rained all weekend. That ruined our camping trip. What does that refer to? That refers to it raining all weekend, the entire idea conveyed in the previous sentence. So that now in beginner writing, or I should say beginner readers, like books for beginner readers, so many sentences, that, it, this, because we have a lot of small sentences. But using sentential clauses, we can have longer, more complex. Well, here we have two simple sentences. Here we have a more complex sentence. So, and what does which refer to? It refers to the entire idea in the preceding sentence. Okay, now a lot of the times it's very, very simple to convert two sentences into one using a sentential relative clauses. In the examples we just looked at, all you have to do, or all we had to do, was replace the periods with the comma and the pronoun this and that with which. So let's go down to activity 1, and we have 7 pairs of sentences. And if you take a look, the second sentences all begin with some type of pronoun. This, it, this. Very common. Now, it's not, sometimes you may want to begin a sentence with this or it. So it's not like, oh, you can never begin a sentence with this or it in academic or formal writing. That's not the point. The point is that it's better not to have a lot of sentences beginning with this and it. And it's good to vary up your writing, make it diverse in style. So, and complexity in how it's in the style. So if we take a look, so hold on a second. We've been talking for about 14 minutes. Wow, awesome. Okay. Well, this video might be longer, and then the next video will just be shorter. All right, we need to get 37 minutes. So let's take a look here. The city council approved the new park design. This decision, the decision refers to the entire previous sentence, because the previous sentence is describing a decision, the city council approving the new park design. So basically, this means the city council approving the new park design pleased the local residents. That's one way. You can make one sentence like that. But if we want to keep approved the simple past, we can combine these using a sentential relative clause. Now, this one, we can't just say, oh, hold on a second. Looks like, now in the previous examples up here, it was easy, comma which. Delete this, replace the period, delete this, replace it with which, and replace the period with a comma. But we can't do that here. Just check it out. So the city council approved the new park design, which decision pleased the local residents. Now, we just need to take one extra step. Very simple. We need to just delete decision. Boom. That's it. So in that case, all we had to do is delete decision, because decision, this decision was the noun up here. The noun was just this. This was that ruined. So noun, verb, noun, verb. Here, this decision. So we just have to replace the entire noun with which. So you can get rid of decision. Okay, so let's do this. We have 6 left. And I want to make this video like 20, maybe get it like 27 minutes or something like that. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off my camera and my mic and take about 5 or 6 minutes and, excuse me, and work on creating potential relative clauses. So basically combining these sentences using comma which. Now, you might have to make some modifications. Some are straightforward and very easy, like the previous ones, but there might be some where you got to make some changes. So I'm gonna mute my mic. I'm gonna turn off my camera, and let's say about 5 minutes. Work on that. I'll be back. We'll go over the answers together, and we'll see how long the video is. And then I just have to make one more short video, and it's gonna be the next page. So activity 2. All right, so I'm gonna stop my video. And I'm gonna mute my mic. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Yo, sorry, 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 sorry if I scared you. Okay, let's do this. Okay, like I said, some of these quite simple, literally just replacing the period and the this or it or that with which and a comma. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. The experiment yielded unexpected results. This, what is this referring to? Not the unexpected results, of course, because this is singular, or the experiment. It's the fact that the experiment yielded unexpected results. So this is referring to the entire previous sentence. All right. If you did this, go buy yourself a piece of cake because you deserve it. All right. The experiment yielded unexpected results, which was a breakthrough for the research team. Boom. Just sounds better than over here. She passed all her exams with high marks. Now, this achievement. Okay, if we do comma which, we can replace this with which. But again, this achievement. So this achievement is her passing all her exams with high marks. So we will need to get rid of that achievement. She passed all her exams with high marks, comma, which made her family very proud. Now, in this case, because this achievement was reduced to which, we even removed a word. All right, he missed the last train home. Guess what? You got it, which was inconvenient for him. He adopted a puppy from the shelter. It, what does it mean? It referred to this whole sentence. Great. All right, the school introduced a new digital learning tool. Well, this change is the entire noun, so which was initially met with resistance. All right. The government announced reduction taxes. Okay, great. Okay, so what we're gonna do in the next video, um, we're gonna do these. Now, a couple of these are a little more challenging. It's not so straightforward. So, although it's not too difficult either. Okay, so let's sign off, and I'm going to create another video, and the next video is just going to be like 10 minutes because we got about 28 minutes. We need 37 minutes and 30 seconds. So, I will see you soon in another video. Let's do this.